Hello, I'm Bookface, and I have become significantly shorter. Like some people I know, y'all know who you are. Ben 10 is real aliens, rules and descriptions, let's just jump right in. Quirky Ben 10 reference, woo. I don't know why I'm speedrunning, I think I was just too tired to come up with a clever intro. First up we have what is, in my opinion, the most versatile alien in Ben 10. That alien comes from the species Aerophibian and creates the transformation called Jet Ray. First of all, he's all-terrain. He flies, he walks, he swims, he can even traverse space. Suck it, muskrat. Along with all this functionality, Jet Ray is super powerful too, with strong lasers from the eyes and also tail, some crazy flying strength, bro just casually lifting Humongosaur, and oh yeah, he can travel at crazy speeds, including I think faster than the speed of light in one episode, which I think got retconned, but I don't care. This guy legitimately only has one weakness, and that's the writing team for Omniverse. Making me even happier with this transformation is that I found a great comparison with the Van Meter Visitor, a fairly well-known alien sighting creating the transformation I call Sight Right. Now, technically this transformation is more similar to a pterodactyl than a manta ray, but I decided to make it Jet Ray anyways because it doesn't have the laser whips. Also, I think it's too cool to compare to that mother squawker, Axtradactyl. Through these comparisons, I've just come to the conclusion I am just #1 Omniverse hater, and I'm going to embrace that. The comparison here is simple. It flies, it fires a glowing beam from this weird horn, which kind of looks like Jet Ray's weird membrane eyebrow thing. Notable difference is this thing is much bigger than Jet Ray. Also, apparently this thing is terrifying if you read the eyewitness which you should, on my website in the link down below. Moving on from that shameless self-promo, we have another ink tank alien, this one inspired by a show I started and got overwhelmed with in 5 episodes, One Piece. This alien is called Ball Pit, from the species Spheredenoid. My biggest takeaway from this guy is that he's got very fun vibes, and I appreciate that. So on the wiki, there are a few different uses for this ability, but essentially it just boils down to this species is made of a bunch of floating balls that can be manipulated and also contain sentience. For this one, I found an alien that sounded like a good match. Then I read a sighting that went on for almost 10 pages, which recounted the creation of the Nazca Lines and Pyramids, visited the Fountain of Youth, and also apparently the Aztecs are aliens or descended from aliens. This is why UFO research is so exhausting. If anyone wants to hear about that in a future video, then I may do a video like I did with the Janet Russell encounter, but that's a problem for another day. Today, we're just going to talk about the simplified version of the Ralph Chakon Dot Man, which boils down to creating a transformation I call Ball. So the simple fact that these guys are made of floating dots is what drew me in. The weird metaphysical nature of this alien could support the idea of these dots containing sentience and also explain away a bunch of the more creative uses for this power. My biggest issue with this comparison is honestly just an aesthetic one, and that is that it looks like the original alien was redesigned by a sad middle-aged woman whose aesthetics could be described as suburban backrooms. No one wants a sad beige alien. Presumably. For our next alien, we have possibly the greatest threat to all golfers, aside from erectile dysfunction. Water Hazard is one of the Andromeda aliens from the species Orishan. Despite its simplicity, considering its power is mostly just shooting water and being durable, I love this weird, vaguely mollusk-looking guy. And our comparison for him comes from the Steep Rock Lake Water Bandits. Boy, that's a mouthful. And these weird little guys with their weird little occupation creates the transformation I call Hose Man. These aliens were described as wearing some sort of metal suit and also wearing a beanie, which both kind of fits the weird shell hood that Water Hazard has, and is also really funny because it reminds me of an Among Us character. In the sighting, these things used a hose to steal water from a lake. Yeah. So it makes sense that they'd be able to fire that water back out. Also, in full transparency, I was really close to making this alien a comparison to Overflow instead, both because of the similar build and also the fact that this sighting may very well be a hoax. It seems pretty certain, I'm just not 100% sure. And I just feel like comparing a reboot alien to a hoax alien sighting just feels too perfect. Ultimately though, I wanted Water Hazard, so I made Water Hazard. Our fourth transformation was just as annoying to find as its real-life counterpart. Now, Ben 10 honestly has some really cool background designs, and this design from Secret of the Omnitrix,
Who's that Pokemon? It's
the 6-armed Hulk from Chakon, is one of my absolute favorites. Also, since I don't have much else to talk about with them, I can point out that the joy of these random background aliens is that as long as the visual fits, anything else can easily line up. It doesn't matter if the real version breathes fire or self-destructs when it sneezes. Who knows? Maybe that is what this thing would do if it got a little more screen time. Our comparison ends up being the Durango 6-armed reptilian, for obvious reasons. 2 limbs, 4 limbs, 6 limbs, And this ends up creating the transformation I call
Hexaguana.
Like I said, we've got very little to compare from in the show other than this guy is pretty strong. And I'm going to say that's still the case, even though I definitely bulked down my real life version.
He took my muscle mass.
And to add on to it, we're going to say that this guy has your basic lizard powers like fast skittering, wall climbing, and in this example, he can thrive in desert environments, because that's where he was seen. Again, not much to say about this alien, and even though there isn't much going on with this alien, at least he's got a real meme-looking face. Lastly, we got the stanky humanoid version of Coughing from Pokemon that comes from an unknown species, because Omniverse doesn't like fleshing out its world, called Gutrot. Now, despite my typical Omniverse hate, which you heard just like 5 seconds ago,
Because Omniverse doesn't like fleshing out its world.
I actually really like Gutrot's vibe and powers, though I don't know why he talks like Columbo. And honestly, this one could be one of my favorites if he actually did more. Similarly to Amphibian, this alien has a ton of listed powers. Most of them either seem kind of redundant or just don't really get utilized that much. Alright, time for more of this. The powers include, but may or may not be limited to
Chemokinesis, benzokinesis, gas absorption, gas immunity, gas neutralization, chemical reaction creation, chemical repository, Menulina sleep dust immunity, enhanced intelligence, enhanced jumping, vast chemistry knowledge, and space survivability.
TLDR on that. Gutrot mixes chemicals in his body to make gas and then spits it back out or can suck it back in. It's also immune to other gases because, it controls them. And also it can apparently jump over buildings. I mean, I guess I shouldn't be surprised with those super strong, athletic-looking legs that definitely don't look like paper towel tubes. For this one, I was just randomly looking for aliens on different websites and found the Cisco Grove gassy robot alien. Also, this is a reminder that since these sightings aren't well known, I can name them whatever I want, hence the gassy robot. And this amusingly named android creates the transformation I call So even though Gutrot isn't one of those robot transformations that people always complain about with Ben 10, he's definitely pretty artificial looking and has some pretty blocky anatomy, aside from those super muscular legs. Of course, the main thing is gas production. In the sighting of this alien, it produced a white gas from his mouth, which caused the witness to lose consciousness. So that's a good start. But if you'll remember, Gutrot has this potentially way overpowered ability of making any gas and chemical reaction. And as fun as that would be to find in a sighting, it's definitely stretching the limits of what's possible. So I'm not really going to try and convince anyone that this thing can make absolutely any gas. Basically, this thing is just a living can of knockout gas. Still plenty useful, but as a bonus for its lack of alchemy, its body is super durable. In the sighting, it was capable of deflecting arrows at a pretty close range without any visible effect. I mean, it is made of metal. Also, even though I'm more than happy to ignore the random jumping power Gutrot apparently has, since I'm imagining it was probably just someone not really paying attention to the abilities of the aliens, I had a funny idea, so I'm gonna go with it. I suggest this alien can jump by building up a ton of the gases in its body and expelling it out of little corrugated openings all over its body, essentially turning itself into one of those Coke and Mentos rocket experiments, just launching through the air. And similar to those rocket experiments, once it's in the air, it can do absolutely nothing to control where it goes, which is pretty funny to me, until one of those things crashes into somebody. And there we have the latter half of Playlist 3 of my Ben 10 series. I really enjoy this series, even though it's definitely difficult and takes a lot of talking through. I just love the nostalgia of it. If you want to see my next video, whatever it may be, subscribe down below so that you can be notified. Also, if you want to support my nonsense, I have a Patreon link down below. You can start for as little as $1 a month, and it supports me to make more stupid stuff like this. Also, you get some behind the scenes stuff and more chaos. And with all that, I will see you next time. Bye!